This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google Ivy Panda Free Essays.
Beauty and the Beast is a European folktale that has been adapted into famous cartoons and other representations. The plot is about a female who marries a beast to save her father's life. Beauty is one of the 3 daughters of a merchant who has lost his fortune. She is the most modest out of the 3 and the most admirable because, unlike her sisters, she is kind and caring. Beauty agrees to go to the beast's house to fulfill her father's promise, who accidentally plucks a rose from the beast's garden. The beast threatened to kill the father but then allowed him to go back to his daughters if one of them would return and be killed instead. However, when Beauty arrives, the beast treats her well, yet he asks her to marry him. She refuses, although admitting that he is physically ugly but caring and kind. After some time, Beauty misses his home, and the beast allows her to go back for a week, providing her with the finest clothes. Upon her return home, Beauty meets her sisters, who are unhappily married and try to ruin the happiness of their younger sisters. At this point in the plot, the 2 older sisters are shown as malicious and jealous since they try to convince Beauty that the beast would kill her if she returned. The Beauty, however, remembers that the beast has treated her well and returns to his house. At the end of this fairy tale, she agrees to marry him, which breaks an evil spell that transforms a young and handsome prince into a monster. The Beauty and the Beast is the representation of the moral values that one upholds and the consequences of one's actions, as well as the need to look beyond a person's appearance. The first theory applied to understand the concept of the Beauty and the Beast is cultural materialism. This approach aims to determine the historical context and value of the story. The Beauty and the Beast is an ancient fairy tale that has had several interpretations throughout its existence. However, an important aspect of understanding this story is that arranged marriage has been common in the past, which is shown through the examples of Beauty's sisters. They constantly talk about marrying wealthy noblemen, disregarding the age of the latter or the feelings that these sisters might have towards their future husbands. Beauty, however, chooses to marry the beast after she realizes that he has been kind and caring towards her and that she has enjoyed his company. In return for this, she is rewarded because the beast turns into a beautiful man after she agrees to marry him. Hence, from a cultural and historical perspective, this fairy tale shows the impaired moral values that accompany arranged marriages and the focus on something beyond a person's wealth or appearance. The second theory is based on the feminist perspective and the gender roles of people. This fairy tale clearly shows a difference in how Beauty sees the world and her role in it in contrast to the views of her sisters. This is shown even at the beginning of the story when the father, who has already lost his wealth, asks his daughters what gifts he should bring to them. The 2 sisters request expensive gifts, while the younger one asks for a rose. The latter gift is simple and not costly, however, it represents the beauty and the caring attitude of the girl's father. Hence, from a feminist perspective, Beauty demonstrates her focus on things beyond material goods and wealth, unlike her sisters, who want to marry rich men to sustain their living. In the end, the sisters are unhappily married, while Beauty is rewarded for her attitude because she finds a caring man to marry. The final theory of literary criticism is the reader response theory, where the audience's reaction to the text is the source for the analysis. Arguably, there is a difference in the way the readers would respond to this story, for example, during the Middle Ages and now. In the past, this fairy tale would promote novel ideas, including feminism and the need to look beyond a person's appearance and focus on their behavior and how they treat others. However, a modern reader may find several issues with The Beauty and the Beast, since the plot of the story shows that the reward for Beauty's choice is her marriage to a young, handsome, and wealthy man. In conclusion, this paper analyses The Beauty and the Beast from the perspective of the cultural theory, feminist approach, and reader response theory. This fairy tale describes the different ways of treating others, contrasted by the marriage arrangements of Beauty and her sisters. Considering the acceptance of arranged marriages in the past, This tale promotes feministic ideas and emphasizes the value of morals over material wealth. If you want to find more works like this essay on Beauty and the Beast story analysis using literary theory, head over to ivypanda.com. It has a collection of samples with thousands of submissions covering virtually all academic subjects.